Hello, BookTube. I am running out of light here, and earlier in the day I got a pile of mail and I opened it all off camera out of January reflex. But I have a couple of packages I wanted to open on camera just to keep the momentum of that alive. And it's only a couple of packages, and if I'm not extra windbaggy, we should be able to do it before I lose daylight completely. So let's see what these are. There's just two of them. And we will keep an eye out for also the review calculus involved. I didn't do the review calculus for a couple of the recent mail hauls, but a lot of you have said that you really like review calculus, where I don't just look at the book and tell you about it. I also talk about the ways, the odds and the ways of it being reviewed. So the very first thing that we're going to need for that is time. If we're talking about review calculus and I'm getting a finished copy on the 4th of February, then there's no point in talking about that calculus because you can't pitch that book. Any editor, those of you who are new to the channel, I am an editor at Open Letters Review, an online literary journal, and I'm also the books editor at Big Canoe News in Northern Georgia, a print newspaper. And that gives me a very small chair at the table, but nevertheless, I'm in that capacity, like all of my far more illustrious brethren, and they already have their February's already marked out. Now, with Open Letters Review, that's not explicitly true. Open Letters Review is free. It's online only. It's very informal. So the reviews are formal, but the structure is very informal. So if we were to get a February book now, and you really, really wanted to read it and review it, that would work. But most places, no. But this book that we're looking at first here comes out on April 1st. So you've got plenty of time to pitch this thing. And this is by Ray Naylor, and it is called Where the Axe is Buried. I'm going to block the beam. Where the Axe is Buried. I have a sheet for this. This book comes eagerly awaited following Where the Axe is Buried comes eagerly awaited following Naylor's description-defying techno-octopus thriller first novel, The Mountain in the Sea, which we saw on this channel, which won a Locus Award, was an LA Times Book Prize finalist, and drew a colorful array of praise from Clark's World to The New Yorker. While there was, alas, no super-intelligent octopus in this book, Where the Axe is Buried does again bring us something wholly unexpected, a cybernetic novel of ideas wrapped in a story of speculative global espionage. On one level, its plot might even sound like something out of John le Carré. There is a secret operation to overthrow an autocratic ruler, a high-level cybersecurity breach close to a European prime minister, a network of spies, an international string of murders, except that in this novel, the prime ministers are artificial, the spies are sometimes mechanical seagulls, and the autocrat has maintained his grip on power over time by downloading his mind to a succession of new bodies. Okay, well, Mountains in the Sea I liked. I don't think I ever wrote about it, but I liked it. The weird alien octopus book was really, really good. So I'm up for this. And this comes out on April 1st. Are you going to tell me anything about... I have the... Yeah, okay, well, the pub sheet has 2 whole pages of blurbs for The Mountain in the Sea. Everybody read it and loved it, and they just decide to spend their time on that. But this feels like a finished copy. Oh, no, it's going to be a $28 hardcover in April. So those of you who like Mountains in the Sea, you've got your sequel now. That's great. Okay, and in terms of the review calculus, well, this is science fiction, which is a tough row to hoe because a lot of the major venues that run reviews of new science fiction titles have those as a kind of bespoken fiefdom of the person who typically writes them. They usually don't take over the transom freelance pitches for such things. Come down here. There you go. Oh, there you go. You could try Clark's World, for instance. You could try, but it's or the 3 major square-bound science fiction and fantasy journals here in the United States do. The back of all of those things are all book reviews, but it's unlikely that you would manage to do that. Smaller venues, other venues, yes. The other obstacle to pitching a review of a book like this, you have plenty of time. But the other obstacle, in addition to the fact that unfortunately professional, mainstream, large audience science fiction reviews tend to be privately held fiefdoms. The other obstacle here is that it's science fiction. And a lot of other venues, the ones that aren't science fiction, dedicated to science fiction, don't want to talk about genre fiction. They don't want to review it at all. They don't want to waste the time when Emily Henry could have a new book. That you'll be helped in this instance by the blurbs on this sheet, because the Mountains in the Sea was reviewed by mainstream presses. So you might be able to convince a reluctant editor that this is not quite the slumming that it appears, that this might not really be all that science fiction-y, pew pew, bug-eyed aliens. You might, in other words, be able to get around the snobbery of the genre. It's possible. And you've got time to put out feelers. Then let's see here. Then we've got this next one, and then we'll be done. We'll be done not only with the books, but with the daylight. The daylight will also be done. Let's see what this next one is. Oh, all right. We already saw this. This is the finished copy of something that we've already seen. Yeah, so this is a March 4th book. That's not going to work for pitching a review, except to more informal places like Open Letters Review, or I guess a very high-profile journal that doesn't really care about pub date is the London Review of Books. Famously, they will sometimes run a very long piece on a book that's a year old, even 2 years old. I've seen. That's a much, much harder row to hoe. Getting an acceptance from them can make your career. So you could try it. They at least there that they're not going to just refuse because the book is too old. But this comes out in finished copy on March the 4th. We've already seen it. This is by Mayuk Sen, and it's Love Queenie, biography of Merle Oberon, Hollywood's first South Asian star. Merle Oberon made history when she was announced as a nominee for Best Actress in Oscar in 1936. Hers was a face that, quote, launched 1,000 ships, a so-called exotic beauty who the camera loved and fans adored. Her nomination for The Dark Angel marked the first time the Academy recognized a performer of color. Almost 90 years before actress Michelle Yeoh would triumph in the same category. Hard to say Michelle Yeoh's name without a mew of distaste, because of Section 31, but we'll power on from there. Oberon, born to a South Asian mother and a white father in India, broke through a racial barrier. But no one knew it because Oberon was passing for white. And this is the first biography of Merle Oberon in more than 40 years. The author draws on family interviews and heretofore untapped archival material to capture the exceptional life of an oft-forgotten talent. Against the backdrop of Hollywood's racially exclusionary golden age and the United States' hostile immigration policy towards South Asians in the 20th century, Oberon rose to the highest echelons of the film world elite, all while keeping a secret that could have destroyed her career. And I think I said when we got the advanced copy of this how fascinating that all sounds. One thing that I'm extra attuned to now that I wasn't before, since I read that George Cukor book, one thing that I'm extra attuned toward now is whether or not this author will do a good job, a sensitive job, with the movies. It isn't necessary. It isn't a deal breaker to do a biography of a movie star without really being a sensitive viewer of the movies, but it sure helps. It's sure a nice thing. And I'll be looking for it because I was mostly spoiled by the author of that Cukor book because he did a really good job talking about the movies. I disagreed with some of his assessments of some of the director's movies, but overall it was a really good job. Probably unavoidably, since it was largely done chapter by chapter, was largely movie by movie. That'll be much harder to do in this case because I don't think there's two people in the country who could name more than one Merle Oberon movie. So we'll see. It's not a deal breaker. If the author does a really good job on the personal travails, I'll be fine. I'll be on board. But not right away. This is a month. This comes out in exactly a month. So I won't be getting to it. Nice to have it, but I won't be getting to it until a little bit closer to the day. So there you go. Two books, science fiction and celebrity biography. There you go. So a mail haul that we finished before darkness closed in. So I'll wrap this up, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.